Hi, Steve Von Brand here for the Bass College. We're down here in the fog in Lower Delaware. It's 7:30 in the morning. This is my brother Kurt Von Brandt. We're going to see if we can catch some of these bass that are going in on the beds, and we'll see you guys in a minute here back in the shallow cove.
Doesn't matter which way you go, the miles are all the same. When you finally get
You inhale that swim jig, boy. Not
Pretty
giant,
big.
but nice. Good way to start the day. Look at that. Tell me I fish it and get ready to make a bed.
Yeah.
See, that's how you want them hooked. And braided line, that's another reason. I'm not saying you can't throw it on mono, but a lot of times with that swim jig, that's where you hook them. And what is that? The thickest part of that whole fish. If you hook him here, you can get away with it here, but when they hit it there, you better have some backbone, a good stout rod, and a good super line to set the hook. It's not huge, but it's a nice fish. That's why you definitely want the braid.
Now that's 65-pound test Sunline FX2 braid.
And that's our favorite. We like that. But I'd rather you throw the cheapest braid there is other than mono.
Yeah,
you know what I
just
mean?
braid. And that's on the 7-foot medium heavy St. Croix Legend Elite with the Shimano Corrado 7-to-1. See that we've been working the chatterbaits and a lot of different faster moving baits all through these pads, and they aren't hitting it. So I said, you know, they're in here bedding. I know all the fish are in here. It's just a buck. But you see, the way it worked is, I took that black and blue swim jig. Now, of course, I work it like a regular jig too. That's a dirty jig. It's got the net bait pocket crawl full size on the back. I did that. Sometimes you use a Grandy Bass Mega Claws on the back. Sometimes you use the pocket crawl or the pocket chunk. But I wanted a bigger bait like that and moved it slow. Just let it sit on the bottom. Bang! Right away. I said, as soon as they don't hit these faster moving baits in here, I think some of these bass are starting to make the beds, or in that transition stage where they're making them, you know, and they're together, and that's when they're really hard to catch. But we got that one. Let's see if we can get some more.
Still a male.
Tell them what's happened here. What did I say, and then what'd you do?
Well, after seeing Steve catch that one fish, we were kind of talking. It's the same thing he saw when he was here the other day. These fish that normally just slam anything you come bring through there quick, swim jig, they're not hitting it as hard. So we're pitching it out just like a regular jig, letting it sink to the bottom, hopping it a couple times, and then slowly swimming it back right by the roots. As soon as I did it, this one hit. That's a male. Nice male.
Show them what rod are you using there? That's the new St. Croix Rage?
St. Croix Rage, Corrado, 7.1-to-1, 7 bearings.
And that's 65-pound test Sunline Super.
Braid.
Yeah, FX2.
Dirty jigs, swim jig, pocket crawl, full-size pocket crawl. But I actually was kind of more hopping it than swimming it, but I was a slow swim back right along the bottom.
There we go. Swim jig, dirty jig, another buck bass, huh?
I was actually swimming that. He's blind in that eye. Somebody got him in the eyeball.
He's blind.
We'll be careful not to bother his other eye.
That's the bluegill swim jig, isn't it?
See why you need that braid? Some guys will tell you all the time they want mono. Try hooking a bass through there when they're swimming at you at 60 miles an hour with slack in the line, the boat's moving, you're turned without braid. All right, I'm not saying you can't catch the fish on mono, but that's the 1 or 2 you lose every day. I don't want to lose any. Try throw a braid.
Black and blue dirty jig, just like we were talking about. Net bait pocket crawl. Flipped him up right off of a bed. Water temperature 65.6 degrees. Look at that.
Nice.
Decent fish, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right. There we go. All right.
Well, same thing Steve did. Just throwing it out there. If you can see the cover where you think they are on the bed, then you want to just let it lay there. But when you're covering open water, like we have some submerged lily pad fields here, and it's kind of hard to tell where the actual roots are. So I'm still swimming it, but it's a completely different swim. I'll show you here. Normally you throw it out and reel it in just like you would a spinnerbait. I'm throwing it out, and it's almost like a fast drag. So I'm just pulling it, and I'll feel it hit the lily pad, you know, because you can't see them. I'll feel it hit some of those deeper lily pad stems, and as soon as it bumped over one, I let it sink a little, and then I lift it back up, and the fish was on there. So just kind of dragging it just above the bottom. Hopefully you'll drag it right through their bed. And right at the base, hopped it along the bottom, dump, ran with it, set the hook, brought him in. That time I was working it just like a traditional jig, no swimming, nothing.
There we go.
Same thing, deep water.
Dirty jigs, black and blue.
Pitching jigs to the pads.
Yep, we're on the outside edge of the pads, using the same thing, Sunline FX2 braid.
Big enough.
It's 5 pounds.
Yeah, he was in roots. He felt bigger when I set the hook. Oh, I choked that swim jig.
Tell them how you're working that one.
Now that one was back to a slow swim. Dip the tips of the pocket crawl in that JJ's Magic chartreuse dye. Nice one.
Oh yeah.
It weighs 5 pounds because of the eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice.
It's a
bed.
normal 4-pound fish, but weighs 5 because of the eggs.
Springtime fish, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's let her back in there to do her thing. Get back in the lily pad she came out of. Here we are, right on the side of Route 1. Throwing the swim jig. Let me show you a little bit about how we're catching these fish with this swim jig. Your normal swim jig technique that works, I'd say 90% of the time you catch a lot of big fish. Throw it out, let it hit. Look at my handle. I'm cranking that thing just like you would a spinnerbait, a chatterbait. You're moving it along, and a week ago, that's how they were hitting it. They were smashing it. What happens is these fish aren't really chasing food anymore to eat, so a lot of guys have to go to the worms to catch them. You can still catch them on the jig, but instead of that fast retrieve, this is how we're retrieving it now. Basically, all you want to do is keep that bait 2 inches off the bottom, and then every now and then it'll hit the bottom and it'll come up. It's just like a slow drag. So you're still keeping it moving. You don't have to sit there all the time with your traditional drop the jig to the bottom and hop it, which they will hit that. But it's hard to cover when you're in a massive lily pad field like this. It's hard to flip every single pad. I mean, I could be here for a week doing that. So I still want to cover a little bit of water, but if I reel it fast, I'm not going to catch anything. So you're just going to do a slow retrieve, and you'll feel it hit those roots. You pull it over, you'll feel it settle down. You start getting too much grass, you speed it up just enough to keep that bait right above the bottom. That's how they're hitting it.
Another one.
Another nice fish. How'd you catch that one, Steve?
Slow swimming that black and blue jig right next to the boat. I only had 3 feet of line out, but that's what I was always telling you. Work that back to the boat. That's what I always say.
That's a solid 3-pound fish.
Yep.
All right. Not big. It slowed up a little bit. It's a fish.
Yeah. Another one. Dirty jig, swim jig, bluegill, net bait, pocket crawl trailer. Came out of that log right in here. Tell them how deep it is in there, Kurt.
No more than a foot. 10 inches probably. I pulled it right to it, let it sink. Da-dunk. It was right on a bed, probably right at the end of that. Black. Look how black that fish is. Back in this clear water. Beautiful.
All the fish are on beds. The water
So,
temperature's 71 degrees back in here.
I just lost one that was 3 pounds that we actually saw the fish on the bed. I threw in, let the jig sit there, and I grabbed it. Came off right at the boat. That's a male.
Well, that wasn't too bad of a day. Bass are on their beds. Water temperatures varied between, what, 69, 70 degrees, all the way up to, what, 73?
72 point something, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty warm. And you could see the bass on the beds, even though it's real muddy here. You can get into some places where it's just very stained, and you could see the circle, like a dark circle in the center.
A couple fish too.
Yeah, we saw bass. We saw one just a minute ago.
Caught one, lost right at the boat actually, off the bed.
Yeah, and then one a minute ago was what, about 7 pounds?
Yeah. And I saw an even bigger one up the road a little bit.
And everything we got. There you go. So swim jigs were the deal. We threw chatterbaits. We threw different kinds of rattle baits like before. Cotton Cordell super spots, different colors, red ones, custom painted by Piz. lots of different baits, but when they were on these beds, in these pads, and up in the shallow stuff, and I mean shallow stuff, they're in water this deep, pitch right in there with that jig, and that's what they wanted to hit. You could use the dirty jig in black and blue, or the green sunfish, or the bluegill color, when it didn't matter. It just had to be specific right on their bed, and then bang, they would hit it right away. So that's the deal for now. You can pretty much count on having, what, post-spawn fish the first or second week of April.
It's crazy.
It's just absolutely
I've never
insane.
seen it in my life.
No, I've never seen this happen. It's 80 degrees right now. I'm soaking wet from sweat trying to get the boat out of here. So until next time, this is Steve Von Brandt, Kurt Von Brandt for the Bass College. Stop in Sturgis Marine. They'll take care of you. If you're a local guy in this area, stop in and see Steve at Sturgis. And be sure to check out our faculty of fishing courses, our online courses. All our prices are reduced on them, and it's a good deal for you. For all you new guys that are just getting started, you should really take one of our faculty of fishing courses and then come into the forum, and then we'll discuss what you learned in that course. So we'll see you next time down on the water.